Okay, welcome everybody to today's episode. I haven't gotten a name to give to this episode yet, but um, we've started off pretty well. We started off with market structure. We learned about trend, what a trend is. We learned about a strong structure and a weak. We talked about premium and discount pricing a little bit, and we went much deeper into what a bullish range is and what a bearish range is, and what we do in a bullish range, what we do in a bearish range. We continued. Go to me check one. We continued to add impulsive and corrective, bullish and bearish together. In essence, we did market structure. We learned about market structure. Today, we will continue learning about market structure, but we will combine three type market structure. And we will combine the type market structure and multi time frame market structure. Multi-type frame market structure. So this is what we will do today. Okay, let me anchor this. So let's clear everything within this range for a minute. Let me go to 15 minutes and see what we are using, because maybe it's, I won't do this one. I will use different Euro USD to explain how this one. So this is what we are using now. So a minute. Okay, cool. So I don't have anything here. So I said we will use three type market structure, and we will use multi-time frame market structure. So what is three type market structure and what is multi-time frame market structure? How do we even identify what time frames to even use? How relevant is the information? Okay, so I will start off with market structure. I'll start off with market structure. So looking at three type market structure from um, our previous lessons. We've talked about swing structure. We talked about internal, which is within the swing structure. The internal facilitates the objective of the swing structure. So if the swing structure is bearish, when we are pulling back, the internal will switch bullish to pull back to pull back. When we are going to continue the main swing move, the internal will switch bearish and we will continue the main swing move. So looking at what is happening here, let's say here, let me use the internal. I'm about to identify. So we have internal structure here. You can see you have these internal structures, and then price started to correct, right? So we have swing corrective structure, right? Which means the internal will switch bullish. Here we didn't, and we switched bearish, right? And price continued the move to the downside, continued the move to the downside until price decided to switch bullish, which means after a break of this swing structure, let's say after a break of this swing structure, we are expecting what? A pullback. But we know the internal structure will switch bullish to facilitate the pullback, and we can continue to trade the pullback until the internal structure switches bearish again, which will send a signal that the internal structure has ended, and we will continue the move to the downside. So we have two colors here, which means we have two structures. Let's look at within the structures. We have this little pullback and price continue. This little pullback, price continue. Even within the internal structure, we have this pullback continuation. Okay, it is not much clearer, but let's keep this in mind that within the three type structures, we have swing, internal, and fractal structures. So we are building on what we are learning here. So looking at what has happened, what we've seen, what we've drawn, what we've written, we have swing structure, we have internal structure, we have fractal structure. And I think already you can identify that the big trend, the big market structures, the big highs and lows, right, are the swing structures. Swing structure is king. It is the biggest structure within until, let's say, this swing structure will break, right? Until this swing structure will break, all of these are internal structures, and we will consider them to be pullback. And here will be a swing weak structure, and we know that whatever will happen here for any time period, we can switch bullish and we will continue the move to the downside. It is possible. And we know that you will switch. If say a switch bullish, here becomes a weak structure, right? This low here becomes a weak structure, and you target it from the previous episode. If you haven't really watched that previous episode, please, you are doing yourself a disservice, because I will keep on referring to that video. Okay, so from previous video, we talked about an axiom, and it is when, let's say as it is, after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. So after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. This is something you have to keep it in mind. So whenever we get a structural break, we are expecting a pullback. And one question that I think comes to your mind is, what structure? Is it swing, internal, or fractal? What structure are we expecting that pullback when we break? Or are we expecting all of them? The answer is, we are expecting, after a break of any structure, let me say that to clarify everything. After a break of any structure, fractal, internal, or swing, after a break of any structure, fractal, internal, or swing, we expect a pullback on the same time frame. We expect a pullback on the same time frame. So after a break of structure, we expect a pullback on the same time frame. When we get this, let's say you have this low here, price moved to the upside, and we got a break here. We know that this is an internal structure, right? This internal structure is switching trends to facilitate this swing trend, right? What happened after this break of structure? We pulled back to mitigate the zone. We pulled back and we continue. After a break of this structure, we continue for a while and we pulled back and we continue. After a break of this structure, we move to the upside. We broke the lows and trend changed. So after a break of swing structure, after a break of this swing structure, we are expecting a swing pullback into this swing range here. Then here will be our swing weak structure. Why is here a weak structure? So somewhere it will sound like it will be a question. If here is a weak structure, why are we buying? Because we have a trade here. We have a trade here. Let me show you. So we have this trade here. This zone is still holding. Okay, let's see how it play out. Under 15 minutes, we have a Philip zone. Cool. So we have a trade here. We are buying. This morning we bought here. We got this move about 4%. Now price is running, I think, around 3.7%. But our overall target is at the highest about 6%. Right, so that's our overall target. I've taken risk off the table. I'm not here to explain what is happening now. So let's go back to our analysis. So now back to our analysis. If here is a weak structure, right, why are we buying from here? Because another axiom that we use that is very powerful, or let's say this is the philosophy, the overall philosophy, the backbone of the whole thing is we trade from a weak structure and target we trade from a strong structure and target the weak structures. So weak structure. So if we are trading from a weak structure, right, and we are targeting the strong structure, why are we buying from here? This is where multi-time frame analysis, multi-time frame market structure, and trade-type market structure comes in place. This concept, understanding of this concept becomes very crucial, because if you can't really understand the market from those two perspectives, it will be extremely hard for you to be on the right side of the market much of the time. So looking at what is happening. Looking at what is happening. Looking at what is happening, you can see that this swing trend is bearish, and after a swing break of structure, we are expecting a swing pullback. One thing that would tell us that the swing pullback is happening is, I think when we calculate this, it's about 30 something pips. So I will classify here to be an IBOS. IBOS means an internal break of structure. So here is where we had our internal break of structure. Within this IBOS, we have the fractal structure. We will go much more deep into why we have that as a fractal structure, why we have that as a chain as an IBOS, an internal structure, and you have a swing. So looking at what is happening here, here is an IBOS, an internal break of structure. The same thing applies to here. Here is also an internal structure, because it is a structure, but it is not a swing structure. But because this is a structure bigger than the fractal structure. The fractal structure is the smallest structure that we have. When we have the last candle that failed to close below the candle's low. So here you can see, here the last candle, this internal candle, it failed to close below the candle's low. So here it's supposed to be here, but you can see the price already breaked through. So this is our change of character. So this is our change of character on the 4 hour. So the moment you have a change of character, it is the earliest confirmation. It is the earliest confirmation that this internal pullback is starting. Right? Sorry. It is the earliest confirmation that the swing pullback is starting. After a break of swing structure, we are expecting a swing pullback, and we will get the swing continuation. But we know the internal structure will have to switch trend to facilitate the pullback. So when we get our first change of character, our chalk here, when we get this change of character, it is the first signal that this swing pullback is starting. That's the first signal that the swing pullback is starting. It is not the true confirmation. The true confirmation happens when we get a swing, an internal break of structure, because here is a strong structure. Eyeballs is a strong structure. Chalk is a change of character, it's a strong structure. We don't expect a strong structure to break. Why? If you already watched the previous videos, you can already tell it is already triggering this kind of thought. Why we are saying that place, we don't expect that place to break, and these kind of things. The reason we don't want the swing, the internal high, the eyeballs to break, and we don't want the chalk to break, is because when we look at here, you can see here is the last high that caused this strong move. Right, that's the last high that caused that strong impulsive move to the downside. And when we calculate the pullback, it is about 30 pips. So it is strong, it is quite big, but it is not big like it is not big as in swing structure, right? So when we have this pullback, which is the fractal structure, and we have a fractal change of character, it means change of character means the fractal strong structure has been broken. It means the fractal strong structure has been broken. That's the essence of change of character. So when we have a change of character, it is the true confirmation that the internal pullback is starting, because after a break of internal structure, we are expecting an internal pullback. Looking at what is happening here, we are looking at what happened here. Price didn't really break. Right, price didn't break the low. So this we see this internal structure. Let's say we are having a pullback, but the change of character is the earliest confirmation that this internal pullback is starting. When we have this internal break of structure, it is a strong structure. So the reason why we don't expect it to be broken is because this place, the strong structure, it is a strong structure because it caused a break of structure. And when it's a strong structure, it means, bank BFI, there was a BFI involvement, bank and institutional involvement at this zone here, right? So when price came to this zone, we weren't expecting price to break because it's a strong structure. When price breaks a strong structure, when a strong structure got broken, trend changes. When a strong structure gets broken, trend changes. So when the fractal strong structure broke, we signal an internal pullback. It means the fractal structure has switched trends, and we are switching trend to facilitate the internal pullback. When the internal strong structure gets broken, which is the eyeballs, internal break of structure, it means we have switched trend. We have switched trend, and we are switching trend to facilitate the internal pullback. We are switching trend to facilitate the internal pullback. Am I making sense? Cool. So now this is the three type structure that we talked about. Let me anchor this. This is the three type structure that we talked about. Now let's use different colors. I think I'll use different colors to identify what I mean. Red, internal. I'll use green. Let's say the fractal will be yellow or something. Okay. Oh, it is not visible. Let me use the black dash line now. Okay. So looking at this, here is the major internal structure. This is an IBOS. This is also an IBOS. What is happening here, you can see, or we can say that we are switching trend to facilitate the pullback into this internal structure, and we will continue. When we break this one will be the truest confirmation that the swing pullback is starting. Now that isn't the real thing, because when we look at this, we can identify that now we are pulling back, and this high, here, now we are seeing, that we are looking at, is continuing. Now we are within EQ, right? We are within EQ, so we can continue. But when a strong low, right? When a strong low gets broken, it will signal that now here is weak. The internal pullback has finished, and trend has shifted, because here is a strong structure. Now trend has shifted, and we are continuing the internal. We are targeting the lows. We are continuing the internal structure. We are continuing the swing structure. So that is three type structure. I will give you some time to think about what I've said here. Okay, so let me monitor my setup for a minute. So this is how it's going. The thing is, I don't know what price will do. Price can come here, take profits. Price can move here, whatever. The thing is, the less my involvement, and the better. The less my involvement, the better. So within the 15 minutes, you have this. You have this zone here. If you are going to pull back, price can pull back into this, and you will continue the move, because here it is a 5-minute zone. This is a 5-minute zone. And I extend this. Okay, it is a 15-minute zone. It is a strong zone. It led to a break. So I will see. But again, I can't do anything. I can't do anything else. I've already set my target. So price will do whatever I want to do. I've already set my target. My target is here. My target is here, which is 6%. Price will do whatever I want to do. If it is a winner, cool. If it is not, there's more opportunity. I've already moved my it is risk free, right? I've removed my risk. So if price in there, yeah, why is this thing going? Okay, so back to the 4 hour, back to full screen. Let's go. Now let's look at we have a whole 4 hour to close. This 4 hour can push bullish, so I'm not going to do anything. Let's price do whatever I want to do. So looking at what I'm explaining here, now I'm trading the pullback of the swing structure, because this one has broken. So we are trading the pullback of the swing structure. Here is what we call an IBOS. Although it is an IBOS, no candle closed below here, closed flow to close above with candle size. So we have this candle, here. We are trading within this fractal range on the 4 hour. So we know that this is a strong structure. We don't expect here to break. We expect this structure to break. So you follow this structure until this strong structure breaks, right? Until this strong structure breaks. So looking at what is happening here, yeah, I'll allow it to do whatever I want to do. We can see all of this zone has limit. It is not about we new one here, but we are expecting a pullback into this zone. We are expecting a pullback into EQ. If I extend the swing structure and see, we are expecting a pullback into EQ. So we can see why we are expecting price to break this weak structure for us to actually tap into EQ. It doesn't mean price necessarily have to come here. No, price will do whatever I want to do. Yes, it doesn't mean that one day I have no control over it. This is a framework, and what I've seen played out for a whole lot of time. So I got in this opportunity. I took profit around here. I got in opportunities around. I've been doing great, right? I've been doing great, but I don't know why. Sometimes when I'm unconscious, I'm in the bounce and then I doubt myself. You know, I've been doing pretty great, and I'm feeling amazing. Like I'm energy, and I'm like a friend is. I'm grateful. Yeah, me they say I've been able to. I'm doing this. You know, we are making this work. So now, what is happening here is we can see say we now one straight push. So now we can be switching bearish, we can be switching bullish to facilitate this pullback into the EQ or the premium, and we will continue the move. If we switch bearish here, then that's the main signal that this here is weak. Now somebody might be asking, why are we seeing here is a weak structure? Because it led to a break of this structure, and we are even seeing here as a fractal strong structure. So why are we still classifying here to be a weak? Looking at this swing, overall swing structure, let me extend. Okay, let me extend my line. Looking at the overall swing structure, you can see that we we expect, if it breaks a swing structure, then we can classify it to be a strong structure. If a fractal structure, this fractal structure breaks this fractal structure, we can classify this to be a strong structure. But if this fractal structure breaks this fractal high, we don't classify it to be the strong swing structure. No. Looking at this, looking at what is happening here, we had this impulsive move, we pulled back, and price continued the move, right? Price pulled back. We can see at the last point here that led to a strong move to break this low. But why didn't we classify here to be the swing strong structure, but we are using here to be the swing strong structure? That's the question. If that's the case, you have to go back and paint the picture, because if we extend this, we have to go back and paint the picture. I'm coming. Last week, let's see, price was here. You can see this is a strong straight push. Within that, we had multiple pullbacks, right? So when this high, when this high gets broken, we can't classify here to be a strong swing structure, because this place is still the strong structure. It led to a break of this low, right? So when this break of structure we never talk about saying it happens, it means we are expecting this pullback. After a break of structure, we are expecting a pullback. This pullback way is what is happening. We are switching bullish. This internal trend is switching bullish to facilitate the pullback. So internally, we can classify here to be a strong structure. Internal, we can classify here to be a strong structure, but we can't classify here to be a strong swing structure. No, until it's a bit breaky high. So if we can see the highway, we breaking multiple highs, multiple internal structures in the price about to the downside, right? In the price will continue. So as the extended way here, you can see here the last high, we moved to the downside. We didn't break anything. We moved to the upside here, and price continue. So you can see, say, if Senkaon we break is low we, and then we pulled back, and price continue the mover, like this low here, this high. If we broke this, na price pull it back, see near the break is low here. Because highway the strong structure, the structure be used. So looking at what is happening here, let's review what you've already learned. Internal swing fractal. Swing is the king. Internal will switch trends to facilitate the swing pullback. The fractal structure will switch trend to facilitate the internal pullback, or internal fractal structure will switch trend to facilitate the objective of the swing pullback. The internal structure will switch trend to facilitate the objective of the fractal pullback. The swing pullback. The swing trend doesn't have anything to object into. maybe the next higher time frame structure. Looking at what is happening, we have, I think this one I've already made this clear, why we treat from a strong structure and we target a weak structure, and why after a break of structure we expect a pullback, multi-time frame market structure. Now let me use this and see we have this high to the lows, move to the highs, move to the lows, move to the highs, right? So this one is just within a fractal structure. We can be doing this and we continue the move. Let me reduce the line, the thickness. Okay. So this is the internal structure. If I extend this, you can see that then we switched bullish. Alright, price move to the upside, move to the downside, move to the upside. So we had this move here, right? If that's the case, this one is the internal. You can see, say, so internal way, it was just one, two. So this one can be just this. Then use yellow. So what you can see happening here is this trend, this internal structure is switching trend to facilitate this pullback. There is no guarantee that here this pullback can pull back into here. It can be that here is where the pullback is pulling back to, and we can continue the move. But this is where we add premium and discounts, supply and demand, and this kind of things to make trading decisions. So I'm bringing multi-time frame market structure into what I'm doing. I hope from the AC up to now I'm clear and I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense and I'm clear. I hope. Yeah. Ha! Video na mind na